Sup, guys, Ryu here for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. Welcome to Coffee Time, your Monday morning discussion video released in the evening. Because Theorio is a thing and may not be out this week, I'm aware. And quick little like mini update thing because it's not going to be super long. So Comic-Con New York ended, feel great. Had my first vacation in like 3 years doing YouTube and just about 10 years in general. So thank you for that. Secondly, we'll be doing a giveaway of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lanyards that were given out at Comic-Con New York. We only have like 3 of them to give out. I'm terribly sorry. We couldn't get that many. But hey, we're giving them out. And finally, in the next couple of days, on all the channels, I'm going to catch up on everything that's backlogged. So just be patient, and trust me, I'll get back into what I do best, which is giving you everything fresh and new and vibrant. But over the past couple of days, and this is where the video's going, there's been Spyral cards. And I've not talked about it because every single day I was at Comic-Con. So that's pretty much why. Or preparing for Comic-Con by doing stock market early. So, with all that said, welcome to Coffee Time. Let's talk about Spyrals. Why? Because they really do feel underwhelming, and that's pretty much the title. The problem is, you get so damn excited for a deck that you're like, okay, Konami's gonna break this. It's gonna be Cosmo Syndrome. And you know what happens? What led to disappointment? The deck is lacking in terms of power. It's got a great amount of speed down, but it's missing one major thing. And I will talk about an example when I was working on the new Exodia Incarnate deck that I am finishing up, that I know some of you want to see. And this is where I'm getting most of my results and some of my own research. But the problem is, they lack a big oomph monster like Dark Destroyer or Dante. You know, some kind of boss monster. Right now, it just feels like Super Agent is supposed to be their boss monster. And you're supposed to recycle everything and go from there. Maybe that's how the deck's supposed to be played, and dropping your opponent's monsters to 0. But none of that really screams, look at me, I'm meta, you want to play the crap out of me, because that just doesn't happen. And it's like, Konami, what are you doing? Because I don't understand this. I don't understand what the hell's the point of making all these Spyral cards if we're not gonna want to just instantly play them. So, ladies and gents, I'd talk about these cards one by one. So, Spyral Mission Assault. It's a spell card that's continuous, and it's coming out in Invasion Vengeance, and you may have already heard of it of news videos, but we're going to do a little bit different than just the news. Destroy this card during your third end phase after activation. Huh, thanks Konami, you're already putting a freaking limit on it, and that just, it hurts. But once returned, for Spyral monster you control destroys the monster by battle, or you destroy a card on the field with the Spyral monster's effect you control, you draw a card. Great draw power. You could banish this card from your graveyard and special summon one Spyral monster from your hand. However, even though it's great and Super Agent destroys back row, what about the decks that don't destroy back row? What about the decks that have targeting protection? How are you supposed to jump over that with a deck like Spyrals? You're supposed to make a synchro. That is currently the concept that everyone's concluding to. Is that you make a synchro or an exceed to jump over that situation. And yeah, look, it's cool, you know, machine dupe on the little dude, and the little dude gets you more little dudes and more searches. And then you can recycle all that back. I like how it works. It's different. It doesn't feel like every other freaking powerful deck out there, to be fair. Like, Blue Eyes just comes down to Sage, Alternative, Melody, Gospel. Big 4. And it's like Burning Abyss. I don't even need to go into it because we've had it for 2 years. Spyrals feel new. You know, it's kind of like Cosmos when they first came out, but Cosmos were a little bit too simple. Spyrals are a little more complex, but I still don't see this is how you break through to bring your opponent to 0. And maybe it's because I haven't put in nearly as much time with Spyrals as many others have. I'm not quite sure. But just off on reading some of these, it's kind of underwhelming to say the least when you expect something to be uber broken and it's completely not. It's kind of balanced, which is scary. So then we get to the field spell card. And this, I believe, was one of the first cards they revealed, was Spyral Resort. And it's interesting because your opponent cannot target other Spyral cards you control with card effects. So that's interesting, self-protection kind of thing. Once per turn, you can add one Spyral monster from your deck to your hand. It's a Rhoda. Of course, because the Subterrier one is a fucking Rhoda too. Once per turn, during your end phase, you shuffle one monster from your graveyard into the deck or destroy this card. Now, that secondary effect is technically generic. I can't really think of a deck that I would want to play a field spell card just to recycle stuff back or otherwise have it destroyed. Unless maybe we're talking about Malefics and I'm dropping effect fillers, maxis everywhere. I really just don't see it happening, to be completely honest. Because it sounds like cool, like, oh yeah, I could use this to recycle stuff. And then you think about it, you're like, wait, if it's spirals, that makes sense because you can get massive draw power from it. But if it's anything that's not spirals, that's not going to help you at all. You know what? You get what I mean here? So then we get to Spyral Master Plan, which also another interesting card to say the least. Because it's level 7 and it's the biggest Spyral they have. But it's got some of the most underwhelming stats for TCG exclusive. 1200 attack? 2800 defense? Like, hello? You must have a broken effect, right? You think about that the first time you read it. Once per turn, you can add one Spyral Mission card from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one Spyral Resort and one Spyral Monster from your deck to your hand. Except Spyral Master Plan. You can only use the effect of Spyral Master Plan once per turn. It's cool when this leaves the field. It gives you 2 cards. But honestly, again, it's kind of like a puzzle piece where all the puzzle pieces are not quite there, and I feel like Konami's just waiting until the set after Invasion Vengeance. I believe Raging Tempest, someone correct me if I'm incorrect. I've been on vacation for 3 days. But 4 days. To be completely frank here, it's kind of weird to sit here and go, okay, we have a level 7 monster. If we sync with it, we get 2 free cards. And then you have the field and the other thing that gives you more free cards. But what am I supposed to do with the free cards outside of making things out of my extra deck? And what makes that more unique than anything else? To be completely fair, it just kind of feels too generic to really be a TCG exclusive deck that Konami wants to hype up. There's got to be more. And I'm not trying to put down Konami, because obviously I talked about how I think Konami's actually doing an okay job. Not the greatest thing, but they're doing a lot better than they used to. But then we get to the last card, which is the Charming Resort Staff. And you're sitting here going, 3 down, and it sounds interesting, but it's way too generic at this point. Is this thing an honest? Kinda is. It's a light fairy effect monster with 300 attack and 200 defense. Konami, please stop making Spyros so weak. You want me to win with them? You want me to use them? You want me to buy into the hype? There needs to be a reason. Sorry, not so sorry. When an attack is declared involving a Spyro Super Agent, keep in mind, you can search out the Super Agent really easy. You control an opponent's face-up monster like they do battle. You can change the attack of the opponent's monster to 0. If this card is destroyed by battle card effect, you can special one Spyral Super Agent from your deck. If a Spyral Super Agent you control is destroyed by battle sent to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, return one Spyral Super Agent from your graveyard to your hand. Now, what Konami's trying to do, and I applaud it, is that they were making Super Agent a more important key card to the backbone of Spirals. But, however, what they're missing out on is monster destruction for the front row. Stuff that doesn't have to target, that can just get over stuff. Or even stuff that will target, that's big enough and easy enough for the deck to bring out. Maybe that'll be fixed in Raging Tempest when we get a Synchro and a Tuner, or maybe some kind of Exceed that we can overlay to. It's kind of confusing because right now, everything just goes, here's a generic answer, that's the way to play the deck. And yes, the deck is really cool, but when the only boss monsters you bring out are just generic Synchros and generic Exceeds that have no identity to the Spyral archetype, it makes me feel like this deck is lackluster. It doesn't give enough oomph. Like when Cosmos came out, they don't need an extra deck. They're f***ing Cosmos. They're big spaceships. They're a cross between Wizards of Oz and, of course, Star Wars, Disney Sue. And that's my whole point. You don't need that extra deck. When Burning Abyss came out, we had the Exceed, we had the Fusion, we had the Synchro. You know, they forced it down our throat for like 2 years. The point still stands that, hey, we made these other ones. Even Noble Knights have an Exceed. Well, too. My point is, Spirals are still lacking that extra deck card or that main deck card that is really going to push them to the moon and make everyone get behind it. Kind of just feels like Konami knows that Treat Toad's a thing and is terrified to give, you know, any kind of push to Spirals because they're scared of Treat Toad just shitting all over it, and they're just patiently waiting to the moment that Treat Toad.deck is no longer a thing, and that's when we'll get our good Spiral support. And I can't get behind that because it just feels really dumb. So if you're picking up Spirals now and you believe that logic because it's just a trend that they're gonna get something else, then yeah, maybe it'll pan out. But at the end of the day, it may not, and all you're going to be left with is a deck with some really cool combos that really don't get you too much of anything outside of massive draw power and trying to figure out what to do with that. Now, there are a few cards that can benefit from it, but at the same time, you got to be very, very careful because all these other decks can do so much more. And I think that's the biggest problem right now. It could just be that Konami's waiting, but this is something I wanted to talk about in an in-depth video, and hopefully the discussion was solid and on point, because my brain is just on fire and lit tonight. I'm telling you, it's fucking lit. But I had so much fun at Comic-Con New York, but it feels amazing to come back refreshed, ready to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh!, ready to talk about Spirals, doing coffee times that only focus on one deck because of 4 cards that came out. I want to know what you guys think of Spirals currently. We have tons more to talk about, obviously, and Therio should be released in the morning. I'm going to go record that now. Yeah, I'm breaking my own rules. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, till Tech Tuesday, peace.